Welcome back, guys, to another video. This time we're covering the Copa Libertadores. You guys may remember that not so long ago, only about 7-8 months ago, we covered this contest while it was hosted in Argentina, while as clubs and organizations are starting to rework schedules back to the way they were pre-COVID. We got this contest a little bit earlier this year, but it couldn't come soon enough for me. This is one of my absolute favorite contests to watch, and for a number of reasons, but we'll get into that in a minute. First, let's talk about where it was, how it's structured, and who was there. First things first, the stage was set in Caracas, Venezuela. This contest was held at a singular arena there, but the way that this contest is structured, that is actually completely possible and unnecessary to really have multiple locations. So it worked out really well, and it actually enabled games to go pretty close to back-to-back. So if you were following the games, CONMEBOL and Copa Libertadores put this up on their YouTube page. I'll be linking that in the description below. And they actually air this contest in both Spanish and Portuguese for the Brazilian viewers, which I think is fantastic. And they pull thousands and thousands of viewers per game. It's a great contest. It draws a lot of attention down there. And I was a part of that crowd and only missed a couple of games. It was absolutely fantastic. And let me tell you now about the teams that were there and how they are selected. First of all, there are 12 total teams that participate in the Copa Libertadores. There is a champion club from every single country in the South American region, which makes up 10 of those selections. And then the defending champion always comes back to defend their title. And then finally, the host country gets an extra seed as well. So starting with the host country of Venezuela, we saw Centauros, who were the regular season champions of Venezuela last year. They came to the contest and turned out to be quite a dark horse, no pun intended with the name. And they also had Tigres. Tigres won a cup competition during the regular year and actually took the slot from another club who has opted out of futsal for next year, will not be participating in the league next year, although they are involved in other sports like volleyball and basketball in Venezuela. They've decided not to participate in the league for futsal. So Tigres were able to come in as a secondary option and fill that slot, which created a little bit of history for the cup contest, because for the first time ever at a men's Copa Libertadores, we saw our first female manager for Tigres, and it was really great to see. Unfortunately, they really struggled through this contest, but it was still great and groundbreaking to see, and they certainly deserve to be there based on their skill level. It just wasn't meant to be compared to the absolute lights-out play that we saw in the rest of the tournament. Then we go to Uruguay, where we saw a familiar face in Peñarol. Peñarol last year was actually runners-up to the champions Cascavel when this contest took place in Argentina. So they came back after winning their regular season back home again to re-represent. Now, they had a similar start to their contest as they did last year, where they did not win a game in the group stage, but did tie all three matches, so they were able to get through on being the second best third place team across three groups to fill out that quarterfinal. And then we went to Peru, where we saw Pantahualón from Peru. Pantahualón was fantastic in this tournament. They're always very high energy. They always play lights out. They do not stop from start to finish. It is complete full energy, easy to love them, and really cool jerseys as well. So from there, we go to Paraguay, which is where Cerro Porteño is from. Ta-da! They really made a lot of noise last year. They made it to a fourth place finish last year. They again won their regular season to return. Unfortunately, they didn't make it quite as far this year, but still a team that you cannot sleep on. Ton of talent in that group, and hopefully they will be back next year and we can see them again. Then we go to Ecuador, and we see another familiar face in SS Boca. These guys really played above the bar for what was expected for them, and they also shook up the tournament as well. If you guys have not seen this tournament before, if you just want to watch some good futsal, all of the replays for highlights and for video live stream VODs are still on that YouTube page. You might want to go check it out. You may find your new favorite team. SS Boca was one I was excited about because it was fantastic to see them really claim some scalps from some teams that on paper maybe they shouldn't have beat. But really, really great play from the team from Ecuador. Then we go to Colombia, and we see Real Antigua. Now, these guys really struggled through the tournament as well. just didn't seem like they were at the level that the rest of the clubs were. They finished dead last in this contest. And even when it came down to final placements, which is another interesting thing about this tournament, is even if you don't make it through the group stage, you still compete to see who finishes in every single place from 1 to 12. They unfortunately finished dead last after they lost in a final match against Tigres after the fact. But hopefully we see a little more competition coming out of that country here moving forward. And then we go to Chile, where we saw Deportes Recoleta. Deportes Recoleta had another team that kind of struggled during this tournament, but certainly played hard. We just didn't quite see from them what we see out of the Argentinas, Brazils, and even Paraguays, and they just couldn't quite pull it all together. But they did earn their right there by winning their league, and who knows, we'll be back next year, as they were a fresh face this year that we had not seen before. Another fresh face coming from Brazil, Joinville. So Joinville was actually the cup winner in their cup contest back home. And then also Cascavel from Brazil was here as well. Cascavel was the defending champs, of course, so they come back to defend their title. So we saw two Brazilian teams in this contest, and they both really cleaned house. Brazil, of course, very well known for their futsal prowess, just like in the outdoor game. And they really flexed it here with really fantastic results. And we'll touch base on them a little bit more here in a little bit. But we don't stop there. Take a look at Bolivia. Bolivia had a team there called Fantasmas, and these guys were really fun to watch as well. Again, not all the results they probably hoped for, but they definitely came to play at the level of the rest of these elite teams and really became an instant favorite of mine just by the way that they presented themselves and played during this contest. Finally, Argentina. As much as it pains me to say this, my favorite team wasn't there, but Barracas was. Barracas Central had won a cup contest specific to earning the berth to the Copa Libertadores. They actually knocked off San Lorenzo in the final to make it to this contest. They made it out of the group stage, but never looked super encouraging as someone that could really make a run for the final. And after they were knocked out, their placement games after the fact looked really slow, as if they didn't want to be there. They really didn't seem to have any heart behind what they were doing. And unfortunately, it hurt them. And they finished a lot further down the ladder than what they probably deserved to be at. But with that in mind, we think about all of the teams that represent South America here. We saw Cascavel as defending champs come out of their group stage. Cerro Porteño, Pantalón. We saw Joinville and Barracas all come out and make it into that quarterfinal. We also saw Centauros, Boca, and Peñarol all come through as well from those third place finishes, including some of those teams. Now, unfortunately, like I said, Peñarol was not able to make it to the final like they did before as true underdogs and a dark horse from last year. But what we did see was a Joinville side who stuck into every match and found a way to just grind out wins. They always looked in control, but they weren't winning by exuberant numbers, unlike Cascavel, who had a couple of really massive wins during this tournament. So we come down to the semifinals of this contest, skipping ahead, and we see the unbelievable run from Boca come up against the true champions, Cascavel, as they look to defend their title in the semifinal. And although Boca put up a massive fight, Cascavel did make it through to that final. And then on the opposite side of the bracket, after some absolute heroics from Joinville's Willian, their goalkeeper, in multiple matches, they were able to fend off Centauros and make it to that final as well, winning by only 2-0. Then we get to the final match, and we see Cascavel and Joinville, the two Brazilian powerhouses, going head-to-head, and Cascavel was just a little too much for Joinville to handle. You know, the match was only ended 3-1, but if you watch the match, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it seemed that Cascavel was in complete control the entire game and really in the driver's seat. It was their pace. They looked calm, cool, collected, and Joinville kind of looked like they were chasing the match a little bit throughout the contest. Then, also in the third place match, we saw a little bit of history as Centauros, who were there for the first time ever in their history at the Copa Libertadores got their third place finish after beating Boca, and they really deserved it. The fans there were fantastic. You could hear the crowd behind them. The stands in the second floor were always full. It looked like there were some stands set up on the first floor that maybe were only there for teams and managers to watch other matches, and they were hardly utilized, but you could hear the noise in the stadium over the course of the stream, and you could tell there was a big crowd there. And well-deserved to Centauros. Congratulations to you guys on getting a third place finish in your first ever appearance, and hopefully much more medals and trophies to come your way. And we see more from Venezuela on the regional scale in the futsal ladder. But we got to look at the champs. Congratulations to Cascavel, two-time champions. They are the back-to-back champions, and it's not a surprise because Brazil clubs historically have dominated the Copa Libertadores in futsal, and when you saw two Brazilian sides in the final, you knew it was just that classic story in South America where the talent is just pouring out of the beautiful country of Brazil. I want to hear what you guys think about this contest. Do you follow the Copa Libertadores at all? Have you found any new teams from watching regional contests that you're interested in? And if so, how easy is it to find them and follow them so we can follow along with you? That's something that we'd love to do here on the channel, and I would love to find more ways to share streams of these teams with you guys in a community atmosphere. So if you see something you like, be sure to share it with us so we can share it with the rest of our group and spread the love and joy of futsal across the globe. And I also want to encourage you guys, if you missed out on the Copa Libertadores for the men, fear not, because the women's competition is going on right now as we speak in Paraguay, and I believe that you will not be disappointed based on the games we've seen so far at the group stage. Expect a video on that later in the month. But until then, let us know what you think in the comments. And until I see you guys next time, don't forget to play with your soul.